It's wonderful. Climb to Camp 1. That's just a little bit of that piece by Winnipeg composer and performance artist Diana McIntosh, who is with me in the studio now. Hello, nice to have you here.
Nice to be here.
I'm sorry to fade out in that. I know a huge annoyance for composers to hear their work faded down. But tell me a little bit about what we were just hearing. It was the piano, but not the piano conventionally deployed.
Well, it was such a little bit we wouldn't have made it to Camp 1 on that one. I've done quite a bit of climbing over glaciers and up mountains with my husband and with some friends. I've never stayed on the side of a mountain overnight, so I've never really stayed in what you'd call Camp 1. But it's quite fascinating climbing a mountain. It in this particular piece, it starts out like on a glacier, very silent glacier, cross a snow bridge, you go up various things. It's very exciting climbing, and I really have had some wonderful climbs, and it was fun writing this piece. But the interesting thing about this piece is that it's played entirely inside the piano. Now, Bill, that doesn't mean that I climb in the piano and play, although I've done that.
I was going to say,
yes, I have.
Far be it from you to avoid doing
I have. But I stand on the side of the piano, and I do it in full mountain climbing gear, and I do everything inside the piano, tapping the beams, plucking the strings, glistening over the strings, but it's totally inside the piano, and it's quite fun to perform.
Okay, we'll hear a bit more of it. I dare say you get to know your piano in an entirely different way when you're playing it like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
At one point, I take my helmet off and roll it on the strings and go brum, 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 brum. It's a lovely sound.
What else are you using to make those sounds?
Well,
Mallets?
a carabiner. I tap lightly on the strings with a carabiner. I stroke that along the strings. I use an ice screw very, very gently on the beams, and I tap the wooden beams underneath the strings with my hands. Everything I can think of.
When you perform this piece, plainly what's happening here is that we've got music and theater kind of meeting, and does it ever sound the same twice?
No, because pianos are wildly different. I mean, pianos are very different from each other. It'd be quite different on a Yamaha and be very much more resonant on a Steinway. Yeah, it'd be quite different.
Well, also what you're doing, I don't think can be. You can't expect the same sort of accuracy from this that you would expect from striking a key on the outside, which is going to give you a recognized note. This is how do you score it? If somebody else wanted to perform this,
you have to figure out how to score it. You have certain once you get into this piece, it's fairly rhythmic, sporadically rhythmic, in that you can show the rhythm easily. But I mean, the strings are specific pitches, and so I write that down. And if you have to roll a helmet, I draw a little picture of a helmet and say that you have to roll this on the strings. You just have to figure out a way to say how to do it. I wrote it in such a way that somebody else could do it. Believe me, they could.
Here, we'll hear a bit more. Now, Diana McIntosh, along with performance artist Myra Davies, are performing tomorrow night at the Rachel Browne Theatre on Bannatyne. This is a presentation by GroundSwell. And the title of this evening is Wagner versus Stein. So, as I understand it, Myra is going to be doing a kind of ring cycle redux in about 40 minutes. Is that right?
That's right. It's called a 40-minute ring.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then you're doing something to do with Gertrude Stein.
I'm doing a piece that I wrote called McIntosh the Stein Way. Unfortunately, I'll be playing it on a Yamaha tomorrow night. Not unfortunately, but it will be different, of course, you see. But anyway, it's a very interesting concert. I think it's an unusual concert in that there are only two sort of major multimedia theatrical works on the program. Her work she really does a contemporary take on Wagner in the first half, and I do a contemporary take on the writings of Gertrude Stein in the second half. And I have used in my work exclusively text by Gertrude Stein. I happen to really like Gertrude Stein. She's particularly effective if you read her works out loud, read her texts out loud. So I had a wonderful time writing it, and it's fun to do.
Oh, so tell me a little bit more about how you use the actual texts.
Well, it's not from one specific area of her writings. It's from a whole lot of different sections of books of her writing, and my piece is made up of narrative sections, dramatic sections, deeply philosophic sections. I mean, she was very, very witty, very profound at times, and she particularly liked using words just for their sound and their rhythm and not for their meaning. And these are the nonsensical sections that are really quite fun to do. The rhythm in these sections is kind of like the simple rhythm of a nursery rhyme. You know,
yes.
And she used simple words in her writing too. It's quite fascinating to do. So my work has a lot of variety between narrative sections, as I say, and humorous and philosophical, and a lot of variety. And it's for piano and tape and spoken text and live electronics in the form of a digital delay, so that it enhances her love of repetition. The big thing with Stein is she loved repetition. She repeats words, and she likes rhyme, and she likes, I think the term is oxymoron. She likes opposites, up, down, start, stop. But the digital delay that I manipulate myself, I have it at the piano. It repeats. It's like an echo in a way. It just repeats for a few seconds what just went into the microphone, either my voice or the piano, and it's quite fun to do. So fairly demanding to do because I'm manipulating the digital delay and I'm stopping and starting the tape, but it's fun because I like the text. It's quite fascinating.
And plainly, you like the challenge as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, there's also coming up on June the 1st, I think.
Yes,
at the Art Gallery.
Yes, I'm glad you remembered that.
A big retrospective of your work.
It's a big concert, a really big concert. I was asked by the Winnipeg Art Gallery if I'd like to do a retrospective of some of my shorter theatrical works, so that I could do several. And it's a full-length concert of 8 of my theatrical works. It's called Music in First Person. Nice title, eh? I came up with that title. It's on Sunday afternoon, June 1, at 2:30 in the main floor, which is called Eckhart Hall, the main foyer of the Winnipeg Art Gallery, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's a combination of poignant pieces, autobiographical works, and quite a number of very humorous works. I really like humor because life is full of the ridiculousness of life a lot of times, and I like writing works that deal with that. So there's a lot of humor in the concert. But it's demanding because I'm changing costumes for every piece. I have to rehearse Bill changing costumes as much as I do the music.
Will you have guests as well, or is it?
No, it's solo.
Yeah.
Strictly solo, one woman. So I'm hoping for a nice audience, and I'm looking forward to doing it. It's you don't get a chance, really, in most places, to do a whole concert of nothing but your own works. I mean, I'm an artistic director, and I'm curating, by the way, that GroundSwell concert. But I'm one of the artistic directors of GroundSwell, and we can do one work during the year. So when would I get a chance to do this? So I'm quite delighted to be doing it.
You know, it is none of my business, and it is but a number after all. But may I ask your age?
No.
Okay.
I'll tell you, Bill, I'm past the childbearing age. How's that?
Fair enough. I myself just never got there.
Well, I'm young at heart, Bill. I don't. Frankly, I think to talk about one's age and other people talking about it does tend to label people consciously or unconsciously. So because I'm not good at mathematics, I couldn't tell you exactly how old I am. I could tell you the year I was born, but I'm not going to.
It's a matter of public record. Anybody who wanted to could look it up.
Oh, Bill.
You know what? I just here's the reason I ask is that it is so admirable that you do not slow down.
No, I certainly don't.
Do not.
I've gained speed.
You haven't. You've never given up. And I think that's just so great.
No, I'm certainly not going to give up.
I mean, why would you? But
yeah, no, why would I? No, it's I've developed a lot. I mean, my background is not theatrical. I never studied theater, so I have learned that and found the wonderful world of a few directors who have coached me in a number of works, and that I've learned a great deal. I'm still learning, so I think it's a matter that I'm learning all the time. It's quite wonderful.
I'm sorry, you started to say, you said I lost.
Well, I probably shouldn't. Speaking of going forward, I lost my husband 3 years ago. He died, and we were very close, and he was extremely supportive of my work, which was a wonderful, wonderful thing. We were really great pals, and that was a tremendous loss. And I thought, well, either I sink or swim, and he would want me to go on. So I think that I have developed an awful lot in the last 3 years because of that, because I've had to stand on my own 2 feet. So
yes.
it's, you know.
Yeah, these things come along, and it's
They do.
It's horrible in the moment, but as you say, it happens, and then you're presented with a choice.
You have to handle it.
Yes.
And fortunately, I'm independent, and I like my own company, and I'm not lonely, and I have very good friends here, but I'm fine on my own. So I don't suffer with that. I feel for people who are just horrified to be living alone or go to restaurants alone. That doesn't bother me at all. I'm a great reader. Mm-hmm. So I simply read in restaurants, and I'm enjoying life. Why not?
It's a kind of gift, the ability to be alone.
It's a gift. You're quite right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, listen, I wish you all the best. And so again, Diana McIntosh with Myra Davies tomorrow night at the Rachel Browne Theatre, 8 p.m. That's at 211 Bannatyne. And that's Wagner versus Stein. So 40 minutes, the ring cycle in 40 minutes with Myra Davies, and then Diana McIntosh taking... 35
minutes.
35. Yours is 35 minutes?
Yes.
35 minutes with Gertrude Stein at the Stein Way. That's really a Yamaha. And then on June the 1st at the Winnipeg Art Gallery. What's the start time for that? What's the start time, Diana?
What
on,
is the time?
On June the 1st, what's the start time for you?
2:30. 2:30.
Okay, great. Well, we're going to hear one more piece, and I won't interrupt this one. This is On a Glacier, and this features the flutist Laurel Ridd. Ben Reimer is a percussionist. What do you want to say about this?
Very briefly, I have climbed a number of glaciers with my husband and with guides, and I've probably climbed 5 or 6 glaciers, and it's a fabulous experience. It's beautiful if the wind sweeps over the snow and makes wonderful designs, and it's absolutely quiet. It's fabulous. So that's how this piece came about.
Okay. Thank you very, very much. Great to see you.